Hey everyone, welcome back to another design tutorial in Adobe XD, and today we'll be designing these cool Twitter-like icons all inside Adobe XD, and we're gonna put in our own kind of touch to them. And as you can see, there's a lot of use of masks and other similar techniques to get this thing done, and it requires only one artboard per effect. So let's just get started. So the first effect is obviously the heart, and for this we'll just create a normal square artboard right now. And I've already downloaded these icons from various locations. Some are from flat icons. Mostly of these icons are from flat icons, and I'll be linking the Adobe XD file in the description so you guys can download it and start using this design for yourself. Now I've already copied this heart, and first of all I enlarge this. Now if you enlarge this, the width of the borders will look, shrink down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double this, maybe a little more. I'll go with 100 size, and the gray is the custom Twitter gray that they have there. And what I'll do is I'll just copy this over just like this, and I'll fill it in with the red that I have. I've already saved the red here, so again, if you want the XD file, it'll be in the description. So this heart is ready, and what I'll do is expand it so that it covers this heart a little bit more around the borders as well. So what I'll do is again copy it again. I'll give this other heart another color. I'll just give it another color just for show. I'll put it above this, right above this. And if I go to the assets panel, I can see the other heart below this. I'll select both of them. Now these hearts are basically groups. So what I'll do is say Command Shift G or Control Shift G twice, ungroup these hearts so that I can only see the path inside it. That's what we want. And the heart and both hearts I will select and say Command Shift M or Control Shift M to mask them. So now we have one mask group, and I'll make sure that this heart, the heart inside the mask, is bigger than the heart outside, right? So basically essentially the path which is inside, and I'll basically also place this based on that heart, so that heart is covering the inside heart, right? And I'll make sure that it covers it properly and it's properly centered as well. Heart outside is covering a little more than the heart which is the mask, right? So now we have this final result. The other thing that we need to do is create two circles. So let's just quickly go outside here and create two medium-sized circles, and we can remove the fill if we want, or we can just keep the fill if we want, and we'll give this a border of the same color as this heart, which is this pink, right? And I want this border to be about 100 as well. You know what, 200 is better. And another circle I will create right next to this, which will be say about 400, right? Double of what this is, and I'll remove the fill for both of these. Now what I want to do is I want to surround this heart and just place this heart, place these circles in the center of this heart, just like that. So I'll do this one by one, and what I want to do is just duplicate this circle, and I'll create another circle which has a fill, of course, and I'll make sure this is a separate color just to differentiate it. And I'll make this circle a little larger than the heart itself. And what I'll do is I'll select both of these circles and I'll hit Control Shift M. Before we do that, let's just copy this circle once again and select both these circles, the circle with the border and the masking circle, and say Command Shift M. So now this is essentially a mask. So what I'll do is make sure that this circle is really small, just like this, and place it in the center just like this. Make sure that the opacity is 0 for this circle. Now we'll do the same with this. What I'll do is I'll just work this out here itself outside rather than putting it above this, and I'll say Command Shift or Control Shift M to mask it. Now I'll drag it and drop it right here, and just like we did with the previous circle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the circle inside, which is the border, make it much smaller in radius, and place it in the center again, just like we did with the first circle. Make sure it's perfectly centered and reduce the opacity to 0. Now this is pretty much ready. The only thing that we have left is the confetti, and for that I'll just create some basic circles, 3 basic circles here, and I'll give these a color which is, first of all, I'll give this warm yellow to one of these. I'll give one of these a a pinkish hue, something like this, maybe something lighter. Yeah, perfect. And the third one, I'll give it maybe like a purple or a blue, or maybe a bluish purple, I don't know, something like this. And I'll just make sure that they are light in color. Perfect. And you can basically check out what Twitter has right now. The third color, what I'll do is say a green, right? So you can basically edit these colors as you like. If I go to plugins panel on the left, I'll see this confetti on the left. So if I click on confetti, it allows me to create a custom confetti. So 12 columns and 6 rows. And I won't change anything else, and I'll just say run. And as you can see, I've selected all of these. Now, one thing I want to do is delete all the ones from the center, and I just want it around here. So for what we'll do is go to the layers panel here, and I'll select all the layers here which need to be locked, except the ellipses, and I'll say Control L or Command L to lock these. So now if I drag and select these smaller circles, the major elements won't be changed like that. So I'll select all of these circles and I'll basically group them out, right? So they're now one group called group 4, right? And as you can see, I can move the confetti around as well. And what I'll do is basically reduce the size of this confetti quite a bit, and place it right here with 0% opacity. And remember, this is group 4. I can rename this to say confetti. That's okay. And I'll essentially duplicate this. So in the first one, what I want to do is, first let's unlock everything that we had initially locked. And I want to take this heart, just this heart which is inside this mask, and reduce the opacity and just reduce the size by quite a bit, and place it in the center just like this, or maybe slightly below the center. And I will hide this. How do I hide this? I'll say Command comma or Control comma to hide this heart. Basically now it's hidden. As you can see, there's a symbol here, and that is essentially what we needed to do. Now in the second one, in the second artboard, we will make some minor edits. First of all, the confetti will have 100% opacity, and I will just increase the size so that it expands and it essentially goes out the artboard, right? I can't see the confetti anymore. That is how you'll get the party confetti effect, just like this. And I'll place it in the center of this particular artboard, right? Make sure that these artboards are apart so that I don't bring this confetti inside this artboard. Make sure that these artboards are slightly apart, and increase the size until you can't see any of the confetti here. Perfect. Again, you want some part of this to be inside like this, so that it's part of this, right? So I'll just edit this to be a little outside but not too outside. Perfect. Now we have the confetti outside, and it's still a part of this artboard. Perfect. Now what I will do is, another edit that we need to make are the bordered circles. So I'll increase the opacity to 100 for these, and I'll essentially increase the size, which will expand way bigger than the masking circle itself. So you can't see this anymore. And the other circle, there are 2 circles in here, ellipse 9 and ellipse, and the other mask, which is mask group 18, I will take the other larger ellipse, and basically what I'll do is make sure that this is again 400 in size and for the border, and I'll increase this even more. So I want this size of the second circle to be larger much larger than the first circle. That is how you'll get the quick animation effect, and that is all you needed to do. So let's try this out by prototyping it. If I click anywhere in this artboard, it should bring me to the second artboard, and make sure auto animate is on. You have ease in out and about 0.6 seconds. And as you can see, if I click on this heart, the confetti animates, as well as the heart and the ripple effect does also animate. And again, if you're confused with the tutorial, you can always download the XD file and check it out. Now the next animation that we're going to do is for the retweet, and again we're going to create another square inside which I'll copy in the retweet. Again, if you go to flaticons.com or flaticon.com, you can see all these awesome free vector graphics, and if I say retweet, I can just copy the retweet symbol from inside flat icons, right? Again, this is not a sponsor, it's just a service that I like using a lot, and I'll just download this for free. And if I go back here into my artboard, as you can see, now what I'll do is quickly copy the retweet symbol here, and this is essentially an SVG, so it can easily be edited. So here we have a group, so I just need to ungroup this by saying Command Shift G or Control Shift G, and it'll essentially ungroup this. So now these are two different elements. Again, I want this same gray color that I use in the heart, so I'll just use the color picker and pick the gray color from here. Perfect. And now what I need to do is use the pen tool essentially. I can pick the pen tool from here on the left as well, and I'll just draw across the first arrow right here, like just like this, right? Make sure you closely do this. You don't create like a very big mask, just a small mask around this. And what I'll do is delete this second arrow, and I'll show you why in a second. Now I want to mask this, so what I'll do, I'll select both of these and say Command Shift M or Control Shift M to create this cool mask group. Now I'll just hold Option, copy this over, and just rotate it like this until you get this shape back. So now we have essentially two masks for two of these icons. And now what I'll do is I'll just simply go ahead and create duplicates for these, just like this, and these will essentially be green in color, which we will pick up from the original design here, right? So again, green in color from the original design. Cool, that's awesome. Now what I'll do is give this second arrow the green color as well, and that's perfect. Now what I'm going to do is just click on this arrow, and above this arrow I'll just quickly create a circle. So just use the ellipse tool from the left here, and I'll quickly create a circle inside this mask. So as you can see, this ellipse is inside the mask, and the path below this is the arrow. So I'll basically place the edge of this circle closer to the edge of this arrow, just like this, and basically mask it. So Command Shift M or Control Shift M to mask it. And what I'll do is exactly the same for the second arrow. So I'll just copy the first arrow onto the second, and I'll do this with, so now we have two arrows with masks on them, right? Now we want something like this for the first arrows as well. We forgot to do this, so we'll delete these and copy this over again. So we have two copies of this final result, and I'll just give this arrow, both these arrows, this gray from this heart that we had, and I'll do the thing for the second arrow as well. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll just click inside this mask and click the mask group here, which is the arrow, and I'll rotate this along with this circle. So as you can see, this is now outside the bounds of this, just like this, right? And make sure that it's placed closer to this, right? And I'll do the same for the second arrow as well, right here, and just rotate it until it's out of bounds like this, and place and bring it slightly closer. Perfect. So you have these two masks, and these two masks will essentially lie over the initial two masks. So just drag it out with your keyboard inside this so that it overlaps exactly like that. So I'll duplicate this once again, and in this artboard I will rotate these gray ones, and again I'll do the same but place these closer as well, and I'll do the same for the second gray arrow and just rotate it with the circle, right, and place it close just like this. Now what we want to do in the second artboard, we want to choose the green mask as well. So just check out which is the green mask and which has the green. So again, here is the mask, and I just want to rotate the mask completely until it's placed something like this, and just center it out so that it fills in the mask like this. And the second arrow as well, which is again this mask group, I will rotate along with the mask completely, just like this. Perfect. And I'll just place it closer just like this so that it has the same effect right here. So now we essentially have two colors. So let's see how this transforms. I'll click on prototype and I drag this arrow to the second artboard. I click auto animate should always be on. Ease in out, we're going to do the same, and we want 0.5 seconds on this one. So let's try and prototype this. If I click here, see how this animates? Isn't that cool? Now we can make this slightly more streamlined. If inside these rotated mask groups, what we do is essentially just rather than saying 0 degrees, just say 360 degrees. And for the second arrow right here along with the mask, I'll say again this is 360 degrees, which is fine with me. So if I click here, see how it switches or animates like that? This is pretty cool. This is my favorite. And tell me in the comments below which is your favorite animation out of all these three. I want to hear your opinion. And for the third one is essentially very easy to do, and it won't take us long as well. So if I just create another artboard, simple artboard, and what I'll do is I'll copy over this message icon, right, and I'll show you how the magic happens right here. So if I copy it over, and I'll just place it inside the center of this artboard, and I'll duplicate this thrice, so 1, 2, right, and here I want this to be first of all the slightly Twitter blue, just like that, and the second one I want this to be a lighter version of that Twitter blue, just like this, and the third one will essentially be an even lighter version, just like this. So the second one, we have to basically make sure that this is a border, and this has the border of the same color as well. So size should be, I don't know, 50. Yeah, perfect. And just reduce this in size until it covers this messaging one as well. So just make sure that it covers it, but it doesn't. Yeah, so just place it behind this. Perfect. And the third one also will give it a border again of the same color as its original color, and make sure this is like, I don't know, 100. Perfect. And I'll reduce the size by quite a bit here, and just like that, and I'll place it at the back just like that. Perfect. Now what I'll do, I'll use the pen tool to create a quick rectangle here just on the side, just like this, not too big. And what I'll do is on one of these corners create another anchor point, drag it out, and double click on this anchor point so we have this circular effect. And I'll do the same with this one, this side, and I'll double click on the anchor point to give this curved effect, just like that. And for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all duplicate this multiple times, so about two more times. And what I'll do is select this rectangle and the outermost messaging icon. So what I'll do here is essentially select the top rectangle and the top blue messaging icon, and say Command Shift M to mask these. And as you can see, this is masked here. and I'll just make sure that this starts from outside, that's so that I can't really see it, and the other end I will just pull out a little bit just like this. And I'll do the same for the second icon. So I'll copy this over and I'll say Command Shift M by selecting both of these, and again I'll shift these anchor points so that the icon is outside, and I'll make this even larger than the first one, right? Even larger, right? And the third one, the last one, I will basically place the rectangle close to it like this, and again mask it again. And what I'll do is again change the anchor point so that it is outside, and this third one is going to be the biggest, so like super big, just like this. I'll duplicate this. So in the second artboard I will essentially start to bring in what I'll do is copy this messaging icon in both, and I'll place them at the bottom just like this. Make sure it's at the bottom of the layers. And in the second artboard, what I'll do is I'll start selecting each mask in no particular order, and I'll just bring the other end like this, and I'll double click here and I'll bring the other anchor point like this here, just like this, and basically all the anchor points which are on the right basically cover this whole portion just like that. And the other mask as well, I'll do the same for all these. I'll fast forward this so that you don't get bored, and we'll jump right into final prototype. Okay, so let's quickly prototype this. If I click on this artboard, go to the second artboard and say auto animate, ease in out, and 0.5 seconds, or maybe even more, 0.8 for this one. And I'll quickly prototype this. If I click on this icon, see how this basically waves in each one, since the width of each mask is larger than the first one, will come in slightly later than the first one. Isn't that cool? Now that was a quick and easy tutorial. If you like that tutorial, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon, because I post every Monday and Thursday. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.